Well, well, well. If it isn't everyone's favorite stepbrother, how are you doing, Kobe? Let's find a good place for you to sit at.
Ruff, ruff, ruff.
Hey guys, it's your Bo the Doggo, and welcome back to Adastra, episode 12, I believe. Let's see if I can remember what happened last time. Oh right, it was the first trial, and we fucked that one up, and Cassius won. It was a disaster, and then after that, AMICUS asked us for a date, and we apparently rejected him because we are not in love. He's just in denial. But anyways, I guess we'll see in this episode if it's time for the next trial or if we are going to do something else. And also about the little breaks I make in the videos. Some people were questioning it, asking why do we even need breaks? It's a YouTube video. But there were some people who appreciated, so we gotta continue make them. Because the breaks is a good place for me as well to stop recording. So I can record these videos in 2 sessions instead of having one big recording session. So I think it works out for everyone, so we're gonna keep doing that. Anyways, no more talking about that. I know we're all eager to go back and talk to AMICUS, so let's go. A week later, AMICUS and I sit in the garden enjoying the cool, fresh morning air. So, what is your main argument? That Adastra has been on a steady rise politically and economically since the beginning of the Adastra policy era. Why take steps backwards when we are so clearly moving in the right direction? And Cassius? That Adastra's decline over the few past 100 years is due to that policy. Instead of looking outwards onto the children and other siblings, we should instead be looking inwards to better ourselves. AMICUS scratches his nose. Well, that's the basics anyway. Obviously, there is much more to it. So, are you gonna counter that argument? Seems like a pretty good one to me. If the wheel on your chariot is caught on a stone, does that mean that the campaign should be turned around and ended? He looks at me, and I just stare back. Well, the answer is no. You should simply need to give it a push. In other words? In other words, the downturn over the past 200 years is simply a stone in the road. Why throw away 10 millennia of progress due to a few centuries of hardship? Besides, it was completely predictable. The war with the Chemians and the resulting end of diplomatic relations with the other siblings caused it. We certainly can't have any leverage in the galaxy when the only sibling speakers to us are the cats. If we can fix those relations, we should be well on our way to prosperity again. Well, that and unstunting your children. Yes, that too. Which I still can't believe you did. Again, it wasn't me. Anyways, that will be part of my argument. Uplift the children fully, as the partial uplifting programs are not clearly a failure. And end the slavery. And consider the debts repaid, yes. Debts that didn't exist in the first place, sure. Listen, Bo. I have to use a very careful language as not to upset the people. Not to mention the triumvirates. Feelings are sensitive at times like these and must be considered despite how tedious or untrue it can be. AMICUS is right. The wolves are very sensitive when it comes to their culture and history. I'm starting to realize that their hubris is probably their biggest downfall. I lean back on the bench, starting to feel a little sweaty under the rising sun. Isn't that gonna be Cassius' whole thing, though? Appeal to their feelings, throw out teak, and get straight to the point? Possibly, but I'm confident that my composure and consideration will win over the triumvirates. You ever considered not being so confident? Maybe preparing for the worst? I'm confident that I'm preparing for the worst. I roll my eyes, and AMICUS glares at me. I don't understand why you are so insistent on projecting yourself onto me. Just because you aren't sure of yourself doesn't mean that I should be the same. I frown. Ouch. Sorry, but I strongly believe in what I'm doing. How can I even be an emperor if I'm not sure what I'm doing is right? Sure, but all I'm saying is that you might not always be right, and you need to be prepared for that. Trust me, I'm learning as I go, and after that last trial, I'm preparing for everything. How are they even going to choose a winner? Wouldn't they just pick who they agree with the most? Technically, no. They're supposed to choose the best performance, the most convincing and dramatic. How very woven. So you have to convince the majority of the triumvirates? Well, yes, but Kato's vote holds twice the power as the triumvirate's vote, so I'll need at least 4 triumvirates, or 2 triumvirates plus Kato. And what are Kato's beliefs? Amicus shrugs. He doesn't talk about them much, but again, it shouldn't matter. He's certainly not right about Kato talking much about himself. But that tends to be the way with everyone around here. I can tell Amicus isn't all that interested in talking about his thoughts, so I tried to think of something else. What started the war with the Chemians anyway? Their ambitions got the best of them. They began to interact with some of our abandoned children, some of which were very close to Adastra. Oh, is that illegal or something? Well, technically not if they're abandoned, but this never really happened, considering if a species is abandoned, then that's a signal to the other siblings that the race is unupliftable. So they weren't breaking any rules? Even if they weren't breaking laws, they were clearly provoking us by uplifting races just a few hundred light years away from our moon. They are an arrogant people. Neferu seems nice. Always polite. Amicus smirks. Well, that's how they often get their way. A facade of niceties to pull you into their trap. Either way, the war was a draw despite their technical advantage. Wolven tenacity beats Chemian tech any day. Despite Amicus' more progressive view on things, he's not immune to Wolven hubris either, it seems. But I'm not in the mood to argue with him about that. Why do you have the feeling to argue about everything all the time? Oh my god, this is an alien race. It's a whole society built on this. They have been living like this for millennia, and you are one person. What is there to argue about? Jesus. You know, Neferu reminds me of a culture on Earth, the Egyptians. I wonder if they're uplifted there too. That's what I was talking about before, that the Chemians were the first siblings to uplift people on Earth. Like, that was thousands of years ago, and then a few thousand years later, the wolves came there and started uplifting the Romans, and maybe that had something to do with the Chemians and the wolves being angry at each other. Amicus looks down at me, then snorts. More likely just share simple aesthetics. Your people be uplifted twice while having no knowledge of the galaxias is impossible. The Chemians rarely abandon anyway. Actually, I don't think they ever have. They tend to have the best of luck. Amicus stretches. Honestly though, this talk is boring. This is my only day off before the trial next week. We should be doing something fun. Like what? Amicus looks around and then grins. Want to practice Pugno with me? No. Oh, come on! I know Amicus would go easy on me, but I really don't feel like getting sweaty and exhausted right now. Why don't we just go to the island and have a picnic again? Oh yeah, great idea! Amicus grins and hops up, already making his way to the beach as he calls out to Koma to get their food ready. With a sigh, I get up and jog after him towards the sightseer. I stand on the beach, hands on my hips as I look out at the sparkling lake. The breeze are coming off the water cool and the breeze are coming off the water cool and soothing. Adastra city sparkles in the distance as well, making the tall structures look like they have a glass or crystal coating. I look back at Amicus, the wolf in the process of spreading out the blanket under the shade of the trees. You sure Kato isn't gonna kick your ass for doing this again? I see the wolf's ears flick down for a moment. That was for missing an appointment. I don't have any today. I resist telling Amicus that it was much more than a missed lesson, and instead I walk over to help him spread the blanket out more evenly. Thank you. Now, shall we eat? Amicus pulls the cloth off the basket, revealing lightly packed and covered plates, along with bottles of wine and virdi. This time, the food is a selection of wraps full of meat and cheese, along with chilled salted cucumbers. Amicus plays out in that luxurious Roma way as he pulls his plate of food up next to his chest, immediately stuffing a whole wrap into his muzzle. I am a bit more dainty, instead sitting next to the wolf cross-legged as I nibble on my own wrap. We eat in silence for a little while, Amicus gobbling the majority of the food like always. I notice the wolf drinking more wine than he usually does, probably because of his day off. After taking a particularly large swig, he points at my legs. I don't know how you're comfortable doing that. It looks like hell on the knees. Well, lying down like you are actually hurts my neck, so I don't know how you're doing it for so long. I rub the left side of my neck as I say that, then carefully uncorks the bottle of Virdi. Kato's the same way, but he's old. I take a sip of the cold drink that I really come to like over the past few weeks. Speaking of Kato, who exactly is he, and how did he become the acting emperor? I try circling us back around to the conversation we had earlier, wanting to know more about the world that's apparently ruling all of Adastra right now. Oh, well, he was my father's friend in childhood. He was the Imperial Legate during the Khmer War. Is that an important position? It's the highest rank in the military. Aside from the Emperor, of course. He's credited with preventing outright defeat. Huh. Must be kind of weird for him to have a fairy walking around in the palace then. Another reason I'm wondering why Virginia brought him to the palace. Kato's scars aren't just physical. Physical? I take it you noticed the visor, yes? Well, he lost an eye and part of his skull during the war. Eventually the other eye failed as well, and we had to go to our parents to have mechanical vision installed. Anyways, Neferi was born decades after the war, so I doubt Kato holds any against him specifically. But is he alright with the alliance thing? Knowing this about Kato makes me worry that he might not agree with AMICUS on one of these most controversial policies. I doubt that, but I think they understand that it is necessary if we are to begin re-establishing relations with the other siblings. I feel my stomach turn a little as I realize that we might be disadvantaged in this trial as well. It will probably be like when the triumvirates have given their votes, Cassius will have 3 of the triumvirates, and AMICUS will have 2, and it will be up to Kato to decide. That's what I think. And then it will be like, oh no, what will Kato decide? Oh, will he decide Cassius or AMICUS? AMICUS, what is going to happen if you lose this next trial? Again, don't worry. I know you don't think it can happen, but if it does, what happens to me? AMICUS frowns at me, a meat wrap halfway to his face before he sets it back down. First of all, I won't have you worrying about Cassius' words. What he said was out of anger, and besides, I'll have measures in place to stop it from ever happening. What measures? I'm not sure of that yet, but I will have them set in place by the time the next trial comes. Very good measures. And aside from that, what do I do next? AMICUS thinks. Like I said before, I'll ensure a way home for you. The problem is the illegality of you being here. The more people who know about it, the more likely a monitor may be alerted of what happened. What if the thing that talks to me in the dreams is a monitor? That would mean that the monitor and the parents have a play in this whole thing. Ooh, interesting. Ooh. I need to be very careful about who I let know about the situation. Okay. I look down at my food, suddenly having lost my appetite. AMICUS sighs, sounding annoyed. Ugh, come on, Bo! This is likely going to be your last few weeks here. Stop focusing so much on what's unlikely to happen. Let's just enjoy ourselves a little bit. The wolf suddenly sits up, brushing the crumbs off his fur before swigging down more wine. Come, let's practice combat. What? I said I didn't want to do that. Well, since you're so worried about Cassius, I'll teach you a few tricks to take him down. Take him down? Well, I don't trust him to keep his paws to himself now, so if he ever tries to take advantage of you when I'm not around, you can at least hold him off long enough to get away. Yeah, and that won't make everything worse. Well, after what happened a few days ago, I suppose it can't get much worse. True. I slowly get to my feet, straightening out my robe. I'm not so sure about that. Besides, we just ate. AMICUS laughs. It's not like you're Kato. I think I'll be able to keep my food and drink down. What about me? I'm not going to hit you or anything. AMICUS squares his stance, standing in the sand off to the side of the blanket, still in the shade. I sigh, recognizing that AMICUS is one of those moods where it's hard to talk him out of doing something. I walk over to stand in front of the wolf, my arms folded. And about Kato? I could probably beat him in a fair fight. He just caught me by surprise last time. I pause, then raise an eyebrow. What do you mean? I mean, he started fighting no holds barred without warning. I would have given him the business if I'd known he was going to do that. Hey, I don't think of you any less for losing a fight to an old man. Amicus furrows his brow, the way he does when he's realizing that I'm teasing him. I'm serious. So am I. I mean, you almost had me that time in the spaceship. You were a real force to be reckoned with. It's not smart to tease a wolf before a fight, human. I'm not teasing. And kicking an unsuspecting man in the balls isn't exactly a win in my book. It is in mine. Clearly. Speaking of which. Amicus suddenly steps forward, thrusting his knee up at my crotch. I can only watch in horror as it comes up fast, stopping just an inch from my groin. We both stand there for a moment before I gasp and stumble back, holding my nuts even though Amicus didn't make contact. What the hell? If you don't want Cassius to hold broken bones against you, go for the genitals. That should be enough to stun him. This goes for anyone else who might try to attack you. Annoyed, I make as if to do the same to Amicus, but he is already blocking. Yes, like that. Though try to be a little more subtle. You telegraphed your moves far too much. I stop struggling with the wolf, breathing heavily. Fine. Then, as Amicus starts to drop his guard, I try to swat him in the crotch. He snatches my hand immediately. Oh, better bow! Though you should probably try something harder than a flowery slap. I try to shove the wolf away, but he steps to the side and gives me a shove as well. I trip over something, and it's not until I'm on my ass that I realize that he stuck his foot out behind me. I look up at Amicus, and he stands over me, the expression on his face showing me that he's trying very hard not to laugh. Tangle up his feet and you should be able to send him to the ground fairly easily. If he breaks any bones from the fall, then at least he can't say that you did it intentionally. Amicus reaches down with the paw to help me up. I take it, and he pulls me up easily, almost lift me off my feet. This is great and all, but I don't see how this is gonna help. I wasn't even the one that broke his tail, and he wanted me killed. Again, with me standing in his way, he won't ever get the chance to try anything, even if he attempts to. This is only to give you a chance to get away from him. Amicus brushes the sand off my robe. Besides, this is useful in any situation, not just for Cassie. Amicus chokes on his last syllable as I ram my shoulder into him, grabbing at his leg as I try to trip him up, kind of like I saw Kato do to him in the amphitheater. Obviously, someone as small as me going up against a hulking wolf like Amicus is bound to fail, but the wolf does stumble back a few steps. Hey! Amicus chuckles as I feel him let himself fall backwards to the sand. It reminds me of the last time we were still on the beach, except now I end up on top with my fall cushioned by his body, my face bouncing against his massive chest. Amicus grins at me. Oof! Not bad, not bad. With a little more force, you might be able to knock someone down as small as Cassius. I pin the wolf down, my hands on his shoulders. Oh, please, I knocked you down fair and square! This time, I'm the one that yelped my last syllable. Amicus easily reversing our positions as he rolls us both over. I find myself staring up at the wolf, his massive paws on my shoulder, his knees spread on either side of my thighs as he's careful not to rest his weight on top of me. He grins down at me, chest heaving from breath as his tongue dangles out his muzzle a bit, the way it does sometimes when he's buzzed, giving his grin a dopey quality. He's hunched over me to the top where his tongue almost touches my nose. Although I try to keep my face a scowl, I can't stop the smile from coming through, and pretty soon I'm laughing a little. I'm about to tell Amicus that this whole thing is wholly fair when he leans down fully, pressing his lips to mine in a kiss. Ah! Finally! And now our character, the playable character, Marco, whatever his real name is, he's gonna go crazy. He's gonna be so angry. I gasp in surprise, but it's through my nose as my mouth is sealed to his. My eyes are wide, his closed as he pressed hard against my lips. As he's bent over me, his paws left my shoulder and he still hold my head steady, one paw against my cheek, the other cupped around my head, his whole body huddling around my face, This is so fucking adorable. I can't even. And I'm sure the character is gonna be not gonna be too pleased about this. I don't move, not hugging back, but not turning away either. Instead, I just lay there as I feel my heart skip a beat. The feeling of the big, strong wolf crouched over me, kissing me, sending a thrill from my chest down to my crotch. Ooh! The wolf's broad, cold nose twitches against mine before a hot huff of breath escapes it and washes over my face. At the same time, AMICUS suddenly rolls off of me, our lips parting just as quickly as they connected as he flops to the side of his back, mirroring my spread eagle position. We lay there next to each other, my heart hammering as I listened to the wolves breathing heavily next to me. Aside from that, the only other sound are the waves washing up against the shore a few dozen yards away. A few minutes pass in silence as I wait for the wolf to say something. He doesn't, and finally it gets to the point where I have to say something. So... AMICUS responds instantly with an innocent, inquisitive grunt. What was that? That? Oh, the kiss? Yeah. Just thought I owned it to you after Mira. I botched it during the performance after all. The wolf sounds distant, distracted, like it's not paying attention to me. I finally prop myself up on an elbow, looking directly at AMICUS now. Really? Like a child, AMICUS looks away towards the lake, not saying anything. I wait a while longer, giving me a chance to respond. A chance he doesn't take. I sigh. Talk to me. What is that you say? I frown. A lot? I'm kind of confused, honestly. A big huffing sigh, and then... I like you, Bo. Quite a bit, in fact. It's so cute! I know. I like you too. We technically confessed our feelings to each other when AMICUS asked me on that date. But only technically. AMICUS, are you drunk? Maybe a little. But I knew what I was doing. More silence. AMICUS? Could you look at me? AMICUS' ears go flat, and then he slowly turns his head towards me, but his eyes are down, looking at my chest rather than my face. I'm thinking about making a "my eyes are up here" joke, but I know it will fall flat with him. Listen, we've already sort of talked about this. The problem is the situation we're in. It makes the whole dating thing impossible. I see AMICUS smile at the word, but then frown again. I know, but if we feel the same, why not be a little closer? I know you'll have to leave soon, but that doesn't mean we can't enjoy the time we have together. Sure, but I think that will make saying goodbye a little harder. Don't you? Maybe, but we'll find a way to see each other again. Having feelings about my abductor in a situation that is completely illegal is so wrong in so many ways. Hey, it's called Stockholm Syndrome, and Stockholm is the capital of Sweden, and I am Swedish, so shouldn't that be... Can we have do it just because of that? Can't it be okay? Can't we make an exception just for me? AMICUS is talking about this like it could be an innocent fling, but this feels like more than that. The wolf has the same dejected look he wore when he came out to me a few weeks ago. So I reach out the hand and rest it on his paw. He looks at me then, ears still low, but his expression hopeful. Everything is just so messed up and complicated. Yes, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have kissed you. Maybe not. I swallow. But I liked it. Yes! AMICUS snaps his eyes back up and look at me. Really? Yeah. The wolf lets out a huge sigh of relief. You didn't kiss back though, and it made me worry that I made a mistake once again. Please just kiss him. I was surprised at all. And what do you mean, once again? The wolf seems to contemplate something, and then turns on his side too, finally facing me. About 5 years ago, I shared my first kiss with another male. Oh? At the time, there were rumors that I performed poorly with a female my father arranged me to be with. Oh. Amicus' ears turn red. Anyway, so this male approaches me during the summer festival. He was the son of one of the triumvirs of Tricely. He made it very clear what he wanted from me. He kissed me on the balcony while a covered drone recorded the exchange. It was broadcast on the information channel the next day. I frown. Why? Amicus shrugs, looking down at the sand. The triumvir had a past grievance with my father. He used mine and his own son's sexual preference to get back at him. What happened then? Well, my father used his power to shut down the networks along with banishing the triumvir and his family to Anchoris. Amicus nods at the sky, where Anchoris loomed monolithically in its faded chalky grey. It was an unpopular decision. My father felt it had to be done. Obviously left me a bit worried about kissing and pursuing other men. I squeeze his paw. Well, you don't have to worry about that with me, obviously. I don't know anyone here, and I'm trying to stay out of other people's business as much as possible. I know. Amicus squeezes back. I'm still sorry, though. I should have asked, or not done it. You're fine. Another stretch of silence, and I get the feeling that Amicus is waiting for another answer, which he confirms with what he says next. So, if you're fine with it, did you want to date me? Amicus says the foreign word very carefully, and for a moment the lingua skips a beat in his steady translation, allowing him to speak the word unfiltered. It's still his voice, but the heavy accent that comes through is surprising, and even a little sexy. I know I should say no. The red flags are fluttering ominously around our precarious, even dangerous situation. I'll think about it over the next few days. I'll let you know. Amicus smiles a little. Okay. But you need to be focusing on the trial, so no thinking about this while I'm deciding. Of course. I groan inwardly as I realize that I just added another distraction to the wolf's goal of becoming an emperor. I would think that you gave him another motivation for becoming the emperor. You promise me this won't distract you? Definitely not. Okay, high five. I give the wolf a look of disbelief, and he responds with a glare. Bo, I wanted this my entire life. I know it might not have seemed like it earlier, but I'm taking this very, very seriously. And I won't be a distraction? Of course not. In fact, I think it will be rather positive for me to know that you, return my feelings to some degree. It gives me even more confidence. That's what I said, even more motivation. Oh god, no. Hey. Amicus sets upon my shoulder, and it looks like he wants to lean in and kiss me again. But he doesn't. So I go for it, and... Mwah! Thank you for understanding, and for putting up with me. I have a good feeling about... well, everything now. I don't know how much I agree, considering the situation is causing so many problems. But I set my hand to his paw anyway. Sure. Our relationship after the conversation is, strange, to say the least. While it felt meaningful at the time, I realized that we didn't really get anywhere, except once again admitting the feelings we'd been having over the past few weeks. Amicus is extra careful about touching me now, probably because he doesn't want me to misconstrue it for something more than it is. At the same time, our conversations have become less casual and joking, and more stiff and awkward. No! I hate it. In any other situations, I would sit down and talk about my feelings with the person, but Amicus is different. First of all, he's an alien, and having the feelings that I do for an alien, a wolf alien at that, is weird. Secondly, this relationship, the closeness, it's just not important in the grand scheme of things. We're currently doing something so illegal that if we were to be found out, It could bring the entire Emperor to a standstill. At least more than it already is. So instead of playing out one of the cheesy Wolfman romance dramas I see on Adastra on television, maybe instead I should be focusing on how the hell I'm going to exist in this empire, especially if the second trial falls through. How is this one sentence? Jesus. But Amicus wants a relationship with me. That much he made clear. I just wonder if it truly would help him like he say it will, or if he's just saying that so I'll give him what he wants. I don't doubt that the wolf likes me, maybe even more than that, but we've only known each other for about a month. Do we really know anything about each other? My man, that's what dating is about, to learn about each other. I mean, me and Chaser, when we actually met and decided that we were going to have a relationship, we had only been talking online for like a month. Like the same, me and Chaser have only been talking online for a month. You have been with Amicus for a month. I think that's good enough to like start with the dating, if you are interested, that is. Which is. Despite all of this, and after a few days of thinking about it, I start to warm up to the idea. We both know it will be short. An innocent fling, like I thought of it earlier. I could be leaving for Earth any time next month, but I can't deny that I really like him too. An innocent fling. The more I say that in my head, the better it sounds. Despite everything, knowing that I could have a relationship with an alien, the son of an emperor, actually, someone who will likely become the emperor, that's kinda cool. Besides, he did say that it would help him with his confidence for the trial. And finally, I'm tired of this awkwardness between us. Amicus is my friend, and I want to be able to talk normally with him again. I'm pretty sure making things official will clear everything up. I just have to go about doing it the right way. Oh, what will he do? We will find out soon, in a few seconds. I'm taking a break here, so go pause the video, go pee, go take a drink, grab some more popcorn, and I will continue recording maybe in new clothes. We'll see. Nah, we wear the same clothes today as well. But anyways, let's get back to Adastra. The day before the trial, Amicus shoos me and Alex out into the gardens. It's strange, but it tells us that they need to be tended to, considering that the camera drones are going to sweep over the ground for an opening. This is the first time he really asked me to do a task, and when I point that out to him, he says that he also needs time alone to practice his speech. That makes sense, but it's still a little odd. Alex and I stand in the gardens, picking at the weeds, just like I had on my first day at the palace. It's hard to believe that a month has gone by, even with the 19-hour days. I've been thinking about that, like, since we are so far from Earth, does time move differently here than it is on Earth? You know, time is relative and all that. So will it turn out that time have moved slower here than it does on Earth or something? So that... Okay, so like when we finally get back to Earth, it has been like 2 days or something, but here it's been like 2 months, something like that, like interstellar shit. Probably not, but it would be cool. I guess it's been about 3 weeks in Earth time. I get to work pulling out the small white flowers, the ones that seems to grow in every crevice of the garden. You think that the drones would be smart enough to take care of the weeds themselves? Well, they don't have a pen just to pull with. All they can really do is use their high-powered lasers. But that risks starting fires. The drones have lasers? Oh, yes. They need some form of defense mechanism. Huh. I mean, it's not like they never used it on you. And even if it did, it's not enough to kill you. At least not quickly. It just leaves nasty burns. I find myself continuing to glance up at an Adastran spider sitting motionlessly on the wall of the palace. Ugh, I wish I'd use some of these hideous things. It takes Alex a moment to see what I'm looking at. Oh, Bo! You know those are important for the... ecosystem, yeah, I know. Doesn't make them any less disgusting. Imagine one of those things biting you. Indeed! Though honestly, I've been vaccinated so many times after coming to Adastra that sharp, pointed things don't scare me much anymore. We work quietly for a few more minutes, Alex lazily humming, as I tried to think of a way to bring something up that I wanted to talk about with the cat. So? I watch as Alex's paws work fast, plucking the weeds with speed and precision. What's your relationship with Cassius like? I see Alex's paw freeze for a moment, then quickly return to the work, the dirty pile of weeds next to him growing larger and larger on the marble floor. Our relationship? You already know that, Bo. I'm his pet, just like you are AMICUS' pet. He smiles at me. At this point, I decide to stop letting the cat play his little game with me. I give him a look that says, "Oh, come on," and I see his ears fall a bit. What? You know exactly what. I think it's pretty obvious that the two of you are, I don't know, something more. This is the first time I call the cat out in his polite pet facade, and I see that it's throwing him off a bit. His ears are down, and he's staring hard at his paws, pushing down through the weeds, though he's no longer plucking them. That's, such a forward question, Bo. I wonder if his demeanor just has to do with his cat modesty, or if there are actual laws against pet-master relationships. I'm pretty sure I said this in an earlier episode, but I am convinced that Alex and Cassius are having a relationship together. I'm convinced that they are, and it seems that the main character has picked it up as well. And I guess we'll have it confirmed now. Oh, come on. We're friends. And besides, I want some advice. Now his ears perk up a little bit. Oh? Wait, what? Well, first I want to know if, something is going on between you and Cassius, and then I'll know if I can answer. Alex sighs huffily and sits back on his rear, looking a bit childish with his legged feet spread out in front of himself. I don't know what it matters. Well, I don't know how things are on Omophora, but where I'm from, friends talk about their relationships with each other. It's actually strange not to tell your friends about who you're in a relationship with. Though his ears are folded down, I can see how red they are. We're not in an official relationship, but there are feelings between us, yes. I knew it. Really? Alex snaps his gaze to mine. Why do you sound so surprised? I'm not surprised, just fascinated. I'm not. You two are just really different. How so? I mean, do I have to explain it? Alex is quiet. Well, you are so reserved and quiet, and he's so... Now that I know that Alex actually likes Cassius, I don't want to be too offensive. Cassius. Alex sighs. Yes, Cassius is very Cassius, but there's a lot more to him than what he puts out in public. So, do you like him? Parts of him, yes. I wonder what parts. Alex has lowered his voice to the point where I almost can't hear him, so I do the same. So are you in, a relationship? I don't know what they're called on Adastra. Alex bristles. Well, it's simply called a relationship. The only official status is marriage, but that's only between males and females. What about between males? There are none. Why are you so curious? Alex looks at me carefully, eyes narrowed. I shrug. Just wondering. I'd like to learn more about the culture I'm in. I see. Are you interested in AMICUS? Now it's my turn to blush. No. Bo, you can tell me. I thought we were friends. I get the feeling that Alex is a lot better than me at these games. I don't know, honestly. But I guess I was wondering how to go about it if I decided to. Aw, that's adorable. All I can do in response is blush in a deeper shade of red. So, are you asking how to tell a wolf that you're interested? Yeah. Well, between males, it usually happens naturally, without saying so. If you haven't noticed, there's a stigma against same-sex relationships on Adastra. Leaving the status of a relationship unsaid makes it less likely that you'll be found out. I think for a moment. AMICUS seems to want me to make this relationship official. I guess it's just going by my standards then. He probably wants me to ask him on a date. Earth style. Alex goes back to plucking some of the weeds. However, I feel that things are changing, though very slowly. Honestly, someone like Amicus becoming the Emperor would really be something. I'm about to ask Alex how prominent the rumors are about Amicus when I suddenly hear footsteps. Uh-oh, who could be? Is it Neferu, maybe? I look up, half expecting to see the wolf, but instead... Uh-oh! Kato simply stares at us, his paws behind his back as usual. A moment of silence go by, before Alex suddenly stumbles to his feet, paws claps in front of himself, before bowing low. I quickly follow suit, a few seconds behind the cat. As I bow, I notice how dirty my robe is at the knees. Alex remains bowed, so I do the same, listening as Kato's footsteps come closer. He stops a few feet away, and I can see his worn blunt claws at the top of my vision. He stands there for a very long time, not saying anything, forcing me and Alex to remain stooped. As my back starts to ache, I realize that he must be doing this on purpose. Are we in trouble for something? Finally he speaks, and I almost jump.
Alexios! Bo! How are you this afternoon?
Alex straightens up, and I do the same, stifling my groan of relief. If Alex is sore, he's not showing it at all, as he fixes a smile on his face. Wonderful, Your Imperial Majesty! I hope the same is for you? I open my mouth, trying to think of something to say, though Alex didn't leave much room for me to do so. That didn't seem to matter though, as Kato starts speaking, reminding me that I'm still supposed to be a near-mute primitive.
Sadly no, Alexios. I was just in the city today, and I was hearing some unfortunate rumors among the officials.
Another long pause. Oh? The corner of Kato's mouth twitches, and while I usually have a hard time knowing what the old wolf is thinking, I can tell that right now he's not happy.
Indeed. Rumors about Cassius and his attention involving the triumvirates if he becomes the Emperor.
It takes me a moment to know what they're talking about, and then I remember. The triumvirates? I wonder why. Alex puts on a very innocent, confused look, even though I know that he knows what this is about.
I wonder as well, which is why I'm curious to know if either of you have heard the rumors, or possibly the source of the rumor.
The source of the rumor would probably be when Cassius talked to Virginia about it, and then I told Amicus. Did we tell Alex? Or was Neferu there? No, Neferu left, so it was only me and what's her name? Virginia? It was only me and Virginia listening, so am I the source of the rumor? Or is it Alex? Did Cassius tell Alex about it and Alex did tell Neferu about it? What? I don't know, we'll see. Immediately I feel the sweat starting to break out of my forehead, and I'm glad that I'm already sweating from the heat. I'm sorry to say that I don't know, Your Imperial Majesty. Another moment of silence goes by, and that's when I notice that Kato's waiting for me to answer. I choke on my words for a moment, adjusting my brain to dumb ape mode. What is triumvirates? Kato's mouth twitches again.
Anyways, I'm on my way to Cassius' room to let him know about the news. Please accompany me, Alexios.
Yes, Emperor! Alex quickly hops to attention as Kato turns with a twirl of his robe, heading back up the path as Alex quickly follows. I'm left to stand there for a moment, watching the two of them disappear among the bushes. So, someone had told some of the officials about Cassius' plan to eliminate the triumvirates. Despite Alex's innocent act, I assume it had to be him. Either that, or it was Virginia. Hot take, but what if the Alex and Neferu relationship thingy going on is actually Alex spying for Neferu? Maybe? Maybe having like some kind of pact or something. Maybe they want to change how Adastra is being ruled right now by the wolves, and they have... And... Oh my god, oh, now my brain starts to really work here. What if Alex and Neferu want Alexios to be the next emperor because maybe they want to bring the wolves back into the siblings and have contact, but they also want them to be better. And they know that Amicus is the right way to do that. Like, he's a good start to that, taking it the right direction, while Cassius will be wrong. And then it turned out that Alex is actually getting feelings for Cassius, while he was just supposed to spy on Cassius, and give information, and then Cassius or Nefero came here as well, and maybe he wants to get information or something out of AMICUS, and that's why he's flirting with AMICUS. And maybe he was going to come here and maybe suggest to be AMICUS' pet or something, because both of them are stranded here, and Nefero was supposed to be AMICUS' pet, but he already had a pet, and Nefero was like, okay, I'll just hang out with Virginia then and have a good time here. And that's why they are away and talking to each other and be like, because they are conspiring in some way. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. I wonder if Kato is already suspicious about Alex, and if that is the case, if it all could come back to me. I hope not. The idea of playing politics among these passive-aggressive wolves is not at all appealing. I spent a few more hours weeding in the gardens on my own, knowing that I won't be able to make such progress alone. After a while, I meandered around the garden for a bit, wanted to go back inside, but not really wanting to bother AMICUS while he studies. While I'm doing that though, I think more and more about what Alex and I had been talking about. Should I just confess my feelings to AMICUS and close that awkward gap between us? I know it's weighing on his mind. Maybe asking him out will give him that boost that he needs to win. Maybe I'm just trying to convince myself, but I realize that this is something that I want to do. And if I'm going to do it, it's probably best to do it before the trial, to set his mind at ease. Carefully, I pick a few flowers from the gardens, not making a giant bouquet like AMICUS had for his own proposal, but enough to make it look nice. At least in my opinion. As I walk over to the wolf's room, I have enough time to second-guess myself. Maybe this isn't such a good idea. My heart is hammering in my chest as I approach the wolf's door, and I'm sure that my face is bright red. I try to keep my breathing under control as I stand in front of the door. What should I say? Just open the door and say, AMICUS, I'm here. Take me. Be mine. Have these flowers. And let's go out there and conquer the world together. That's what you used to say. Maybe just imitate what the wolf did back when he messed me out. Yeah, that would be funny and cute, right? That would be super cute. Do that. As I start feeling myself getting cold feet, I just reach out to the panel, pressing it, deciding just to throw myself into this. Oh no! AMICUS, what are you doing? You idiot! The scene that comes up is probably the last one that I would ever expected. They are just wrestling, okay? they have their clothes on. AMICUS has his pants on, and Nefero has his loincloth. No problem here. At first, I think the two of them are fighting. Nefero and AMICUS obviously had some kind of tension going on between them, so seeing the jackal splayed out in the bed while AMICUS growled and snarled above him, pinning him down. They are fighting, don't worry, all children watching, they are just fighting like adults. But after a few more seconds of staring open mouth at the scene in front of me, I slowly realize what's actually happening. While AMICUS might be snarling, Nefero is letting out grunts and groans that are clearly full of pleasure. His face and body says it all too, the jackal writhing and twisting under the wolf, pawing at him as he says words that don't translate through the lingua. I guess the sound they're making covered up the sound of the door opening, because neither of them look up. Instead, they both continue to go at it, while I stare in shock. A part of me doesn't want to make any sudden movements as not to attract their attention, while the other part of me just stares in fascination, never having seen anything like this before. A few times, Nefero tries to reach up and touch AMICUS' face, and each time the wolf baits away or pins the paw down. AMICUS seems irritated almost, like he's more annoyed about the situation than anything else. Nefero is practically the opposite, somehow maintaining that trademark smirk of his while this is all going down. Uh-oh. AMICUS? What happened now? And then, of all the moments for me to walk into the session, they seem to reach their peak. Nefero lets out a series of short moans, a strange sound coming from someone as refined and reserved as he is. Meanwhile, AMICUS' moan is long and deep as he thrusts hard into the jackal, freezing up before practically melting over the other canine. His expression is a lot more goofy, and despite myself, I find myself thinking that this is exactly how I imagine his orgasm face. Why do you even imagine that kind of face? Do you do that with everyone? I wonder who that guy looks when he has an orgasm. I just sort of take it all in, still trying to understand what the hell is going on. I mean, I know what's going on, but I don't know why. There's a certain amount of horror that goes with my reaction, as if I just walked in on my parents doing it. I guess I'm at least glad that I'm seeing it at this angle, which means I can't see what's going on under Nefero's hips. I realize then that I need to get the hell out before they see me. As they both gasp in that sticky mess, I slowly start to back out, but that's when the door automatically closes behind me. Oops. And now that things are quiet, nothing covers up that sound, and Nefero and Amicus look up at me at once. Now that things are quiet, nothing covers up that sound, and Nefero and Amicus look at me as one. Oops. Hello. I stand there, feeling as I'm in a dream as they both stare at me. I must look like an idiot. My robe dirty from the gardens, flowers dangling from my right hand, my mouth hanging open in fascinated horror. Amicus looks most shocked of all though, and I can see a million thoughts running through his head, clearly not having wanted me to see this. His reason for sending me and Alex out to do menial yard work is now very clear. Oh, Amicus, you dog. And Nefero, for his part, isn't wearing his usual suave smirk. Instead is surprised and maybe a little guilty, not even he wanting me to see this. I open my mouth. But then any will to smooth over the situation somehow, to make a joke of it even, leaves me. With both their eyes on me, I turn and almost run into the door, having to drop the flowers on the ground to press the panel. Oh no! Somehow, I feel even worse than I had when I left the throne room in disgrace after the dance. The door slides open, and the next thing I know, I'm jogging out into the hall. As I do, I hear Amicus struggling for words. Wait! There's some rustling sounds, followed by a yell from Nefero, before the door slides shut, and the only sounds are my echoing footsteps. Oh, this is so sad! No! Oh! I'm not sure where I'm going. I just know that I need to get as far as I can away from that situation. What I just saw is only now sinking in. And so is the hurt. Oh no! Oh, my heart! What the fuck? That fucking wolf tells me that he's in love with me, or at least interested in me, and the next thing I know he's fucking that jackal? What the fuck? I guess I'm more angry than hurt. I must have looked like such an idiot standing there while one of them were getting railed. And to walk in on that moment. Nefero had been so clearly into it, and Amicus had looked so mean and aggressive. The whole thing was just awful. Well, awful to walk in on unexpectedly. In another context, my vision blurs for a moment, but I refuse to let myself cry over something that wasn't even going to be serious. I was going to offer Amicus that stupid fling, and that was it. He wasn't obligated to have eyes only for me. In fact, I knew that he was into Nefero. We'd already discussed it. So, this is fine. This was expected. Actually, I wasn't even expecting anything. No, the reason I'm so embarrassed and I feel like shit right now is because I walked in on 2 alien dogs butt fucking. That was weird and messed up, and I just need to collect my thoughts for a moment. And that's when I realized that I don't really know where I am in the palace. Most of the hallways look the same, and this one is no exception, though I know I'm deeper in than I've been before. Ooh, are we gonna see a new place maybe? Bo! Amicus' footsteps pounce against the floor behind me. I don't know how far away he is considering the echoing halls can be deceptive, but I immediately take a right through the particular large set of double doors. The room I walk into is full of smells. Good ones, like a garden. The air is cool and fresh, even as the afternoon light pours in from an opening in the ceiling. All the while, there's a soft sound of trickling of water from the small fountain in the center of the room. I stand there for a moment, eyes scanning for anyone else that might be here. When I don't see anyone, I move closer to the center of the room, looking around at the flowers and plants as I try to calm my hammering heart. I know Amicus is probably going to find me soon. All he has to do is to ask calm. So I fold my arms, trying to look casual, realizing now that it would have been better for me just to hang out in the hall, maybe laughing when Amicus came out. I would have made a joke and acted like it wasn't a big deal. But it's far too late for that now. And sure enough, the door slides open and AMICUS stumbles in his underwear, his fur completely mussed up, chest heaving from breath. Whoa! Bo, I need to talk about... He doubles over, paws on his knees as he gasps in his air. I cringe as I see my flower clutching one of his paws. Oh, AMICUS! But I still try to look casual, keeping my arms folded. What? About what you just saw? Don't worry about it. I shrug before busying myself with brushing off the robe so they don't look so dirty. No, I want to explain what happened. You don't need to explain it. It's none of my business. Well, it is. It's definitely not. I snap at the wolf. Who you fuck is none of my business, and that's all up to you. Don't let me tell you who you can and can't be with. AMICUS frowns deeply at me. You heard me. I don't want to hear about it. I'm not here for this shit anyway. Here for what? I throw my hands up in frustration. What just happened? For sex, for love, for whatever the hell you guys do. Whatever it is you told me you want on the island. I point to the flowers in his paw. I'm just trying to get home. I feel my eyes threatening to water up again, and I stubbornly swallowing that down right quick. No, that's not what that was. Please, let me explain. I shake my head. Do you guys have sex? It's no big deal. I get it. Humans can be like that too. AMICUS takes a step forward, and I take one back. Oh no! I guess it's just a little fucked up that you confessed your feelings 2 days ago, and then suddenly you're fucking another guy. This is all so ridiculous. Not only the situation I'm in, but the fact that I feel so hurt by the wolf, even though nothing really happened between us except an alcohol-fueled kiss. AMICUS takes another step forward, his paws up, staring wide-eyed at me. That's not what happened, and if you just let me explain. Then what did I just see? What you saw, it was more of a transaction than anything. What? Of cum? AMICUS chokes in surprise. Well, yes, I guess. But I made a deal with the Kemian. What deal? Well, I'm sure you remember the problem with Cassius. About him wanting to murder me? Yes, that problem. What about it? Well, I did say it wasn't something you should worry about, but like I said, I'm taking all precautions. So was it maybe like the Neferu promised, like, okay, we will take care of a bow if Cassius become the emperor, and we will take him back to his home planet again if you fuck me. Was that it, maybe? Yeah? Yes, so... The wolf pauses. What? I realize now that I should have consulted you on this, but it was my only immediate option. What option? Well, while Cassius might be willing to execute my pet, he wouldn't dare touch a pet of a Kemian. Did you just give me away? What? The wolf rubs behind his neck with one paw, and speaks very quickly. If I were to lose the second trial, I made it so that your ownership would transfer to Neferu. You will become his pet. I stare at the wolf. This would ensure that Cassius would not dare to come after you. If he did, it might upset the very delicate relationship we have with the Kemians. A moment of silence passes. So, I'd become Neferu's pet? If I somehow lose the trial, yes. I stare at the wolf. Are you okay with that? AMICUS. Brum. Again with him doing things without telling me. No conversation, no warning, no consideration. After all this time, he still doesn't see me as an equal. AMICUS sees my expression change and quickly jumps in again. It's the best alternative, mainly because the Kenians use their own stretch. Nefer would be able to take you home if he had to. So to pay him... He wanted sex and only seemed interested in that, yes. Trust me, I took no emotional pleasure in it. I'm quiet. Don't worry though, I'm sure that the contract we had agreed on ensures that you will not have to be involved in anything like that. In fact, you'll almost be treated like a pharaoh. AMICUS grins proudly. I stare at the wolf for a while, suddenly feeling numb. Are you feeling better? His voice takes a serious tone as he reaches out and pushes a thumb pad across my cheek. The action is intimate, and I turn my head away. We stand there awkwardly for a moment, and then Amicus holds out the flowers. You dropped these. I shake my head. They were for you. Amicus winces. I thought so. Were you going to ask me? I feel myself getting hot. Yeah, but now I'm suddenly enveloped in a very tight hug. Oh, God, that was the absolute worst moment for you to walk in. I'm sorry. I stand there limp, just letting the wolf hug me. Finally, Amicus steps back, holding the slightly wilting flowers as he stares at them. I hope that after that, you're still considering? I sigh and shake my head, to which Amicus' ears fall. No! I'm just a big stupid primate to you, aren't I? What? I told you before just to talk to me when you're planning something that involves me. Why couldn't you have at least given me a warning? Especially for something like this. You what? It was sudden. And I thought the idea might hurt you after what happened on the island. No shit. So you went behind my back. I know sometimes you don't... Well, you don't even think. But you knew this would hurt? No, I've been so busy. And not to mention, negotiating these things is complicated. I'm just trying to do whatever's best for you. Without really thinking about me, or how I might feel about all this. I'm always thinking about you. Every damn hour of the day, and this is on top of the trials. Believe it or not, Bo, but I'm stretched a bit thin, and it would help if you could just work with me. Work with you? How? Let you manipulate me into becoming your boyfriend, then watch you fuck another guy so that I can become his slave instead? I've been pretending, but now it could actually become official. I can't stop the words from spilling out of my mouth, wanting to hurt the wolf as much as he hurt me. The wolf stares at me. Then Amicus Hackens rise, but instead of instilling any sort of fear in me, like it normally would, I feel satisfaction. Bo, I will not let you accuse me of such a thing. I was more honest with you on that island than I've ever been with anyone in years. But not about what happened with the pharaoh. What? You think I owe you celibacy? We're not dating, and you refuse to do anything with me. It may come to a surprise to you, but even in times like these, I have needs. So you did want it? Amicus looks absolutely ready to explode, and for a moment, he just stands there in silence, practically shaking. He opens his mouth, and instead of shouting as I expect, it's almost a whisper. I may not know how these things work on Earth, but you know how they work on Adastra. You said yourself that these matters are casual. What happened with Jackal means nothing to me. You mean so much to me, which is why I did it to keep you safe. I shake my head. While seeing what happened in the bedroom hurt, is really only the tip of the iceberg with what's wrong with all of this. If you really cared about me, you'd care about what I want. You keep telling me how smart I am, but here we are again, with you doing stuff without any of my inputs because you think that I'm too stupid to understand. No! You know, you wolves are all the same. We're just stupid barbarians to you. You don't treat me like an equal. You look down on me. And why the fuck would I want to be with someone like that? Wow, harsh words here. That's not even... Just win your stupid trial and send me home. If you don't, just blast my stupid ape ass into space. I don't want to be here anymore. I turn and head for the door. Wait, please. Whatever he's going to say suddenly cuts off as I hear a loud thud. I don't look back to see what he kicked or punched. Instead, I head out to the hall, not sure at all where I'm going. I just know that I hate everything about what just happened. For a while, I just wander. I end up pacing the halls of the palace before going outside to sit in the gardens. I don't see anyone. It's weirdly calm outside, especially considering that the Emperor could be decided tomorrow. I wonder how things are in the city. in the rest of the Empire. I look out towards the faint city skyline, glinting gently in the afternoon light. Amicus doesn't come after me. Should he? I said such horrible things to him. But even now, I feel like I had to say them. I'm tired of being treated like an actual pet. And now that I might actually become one? Still, I kind of wish he did come after me again. I do believe that he was only trying to protect me. That he thought what he was doing was the only way to do that. But after everything on the beach, after I've already told him just to keep me in the loop, honestly, if he'd asked me about it first, I would probably have been okay with it. Sure, maybe he's jealous, but okay. I realize that a lot of this anger is because I feel betrayed, and I feel that way because I really, really like Amicus. And I'd expected him to treat me better after everything. The late afternoon heat is making me sweat, but instead of going inside, I just move under some shade. After a while, I lay back on the bench I'm sitting on, drifting off to sleep. When I wake up, it takes me a while to realize where I am. I stare at the flowers and leaves, gently lit up by the garden lights, until I remember that I've fallen asleep there. Groggily, I call out to Koma, and according to him, I've only been out here for about 2 hours, but the sun here always moves fast across the sky. I brush a few leaves off my robe as I get up and walk towards the palace, realizing at this point that I can't exactly avoid going back into Amicus' room forever. At least he will force us to talk about things after we're cooled down. At least, I hope he's cooled down. My pace starts to slow as I get closer to his bedroom, unsure of what to say after everything that happened. I decide I'm going to apologize, but also expect an apology from him as well. We both made mistakes, but we could get past this if we talked it out. Dinner is still sitting next to the door in his cart, untouched. I pause, my hand hovering over the panel, remembering what I saw the last time I opened this door. Shuddering, I steel myself and press it. The room is empty. No wolf in sight. Cold air creeps out of the room, chilling my bare calves as I continue to stand in the hallway. I realize then that I was holding my breath and let it out slowly. I look up and down the hall in case I might see Amicus, but as always, it's empty. With a soft sigh, I slowly walk towards the bed before changing direction to sit on the sofa instead. Koma told me that it was the 18th hour, which means Amicus should get ready for bed by now. A schedule he follows almost religiously. Maybe he's getting ready for the trial somehow. That would be good, but I'm also getting the uncomfortable feeling that he's just avoiding me. That would be bad, because despite what happened, he shouldn't be thinking at all about me. He could be the Emperor tomorrow. Wasn't it that he has to win 2 things? Are both gonna happen tomorrow then? If he wins the question thing in the history... I mean, if he wins this second trial, that means that they have 1 trial each won. Will that then have the third trial rightly after that tomorrow as well? I mean, otherwise he won't be the Emperor, because winning the second trial doesn't mean that he's Emperor, right? So I sit there, hugging a pillow, waiting. After a while, I grab the food from the hallway and manage to eat a little bit. I wonder if I should save some for Amicus, but decide that he will be able to get his own food from the kitchen instead of these cold leftovers if he ends up returning. So I send the rest back with the drones and continue waiting. After a few more hours, Amicus still doesn't come back, and I end up lying down on the sofa, waiting to fall asleep. Oh! Hello? The sound of the door opening jolts me awake, and I quickly sit up, turning to look. Amicus? Oh no, not you! I stare at the jackal for a moment, feeling a sudden surge of anger in my chest. Hello, Bo. Are you coming to the trials? I look around. What time is it? The 7th hour, which means that the trials are starting in less than an hour. Where's Amicus? Preparing for the trial. He hasn't been back all night. He was meditating most of the night. All night? Indeed. I frown at the jackal. What do you want? Neferu walks further into the room slowly, before stopping in the middle, a good 15 feet away. To escort you to the trial, if you'd like. And also talk. About what? I've already told you that I don't need to play stupid with me, Bo. I sit up straight, turning my face to the jackal more directly. I'm not! I'm just wondering why the fuck you have the nerve to show up here after taking advantage of Amicus like that. What? I don't think I've ever seen Nefera caught off guard, so the sight is kinda funny. I smirk. Well, that's certainly a way to look at it. And what other ways are there to look at it? Plenty, if you let me explain. I sit back on the sofa, crossing my arms. Amicus already explained. I become your pet to protect me from Cassius, and in exchange for that, you made him fuck you in the ass. Again, the jackal looks shocked, and then he laughs, the sound high and soft. Oh dear, there are many ways to look at this, aren't there? His sudden cheerful mood irritates me. Listen, I honestly don't want any part of this. Yes, but you're already part of it, whether you want to be or not. So please, allow me to explain some things. I don't say anything, keep my arms folded, my expression bored. The jackal seems to take that as his cue to continue. Amicus approached me about this deal a week ago, shortly after the incident with Cassius. It seemed simple enough, and I had to agree with him. Your position in this power struggle is becoming even more precarious. I raise an eyebrow. The rumors about Cassius intending to disband the triumvirates have saturated the trials, even though Kato has banned all discussion of it. Word is that Cassius might have realized who might have started the rumors. Nefera looks pointedly at me, though I try to keep my expression neutral. This has implication for you obviously, but not only because you possibly sabotage his chances at the throne. I feel my stomach turn a little, realizing that I got myself in way more than I ever intended. This also brings into question your intelligence. Far too intelligent for a simian, wouldn't you say? I open my mouth, but Nefera goes on. Now, with all of this considered, it was only natural for Amicus to come to me for help. Your life is in danger, Bo, no matter the facade these peaceful palace halls might project. I stare at the jackal, surprised at how candid he's being with me. He asked me what I wanted the most. He asked me what I wanted the most, and I answered truthfully. An alliance with the wolf if Amicus becomes the emperor. Of course, he declined outright, as he should have as a prospective emperor. How could he promise something so important with so many implications, all over one pet? So knowing that was impossible, I offered something a bit more selfish on my part. Copulation with the handsome son of the Wolven Emperor. To this, he only needed a few moments to agree. I grimace. If Amicus had found even that disagreeable, I would have simply asked for nothing. It is the duty of all the Chemians to protect any sibling fleeing Wolven violence, whether they are sibling, child, or abandoned. Pet ownership is illegal where I am from, and the idea is quite disgusting. Don't you agree? Nefera glances at me. I just want him to say something like, isn't that how you do it on Earth? I'm like, oh no, he knows I'm a human. You are an Earthian after all. But wolves love their contracts, and no matter how different Amicus might wish himself to be, he despises that idea that he might owe something to a Chemian. And his quickiness to accept the deal showed me that despite how much he wanted not to fuck me, as you put it, there was a part of him that did. And in the end, he was willing. I look away, frowning. And I think that this is something that has caused a rift between the two of you. You must understand that sex is casual here. It means nothing than an indulging and a corporeal desire. It's one of the few culture similarities we share with the wolves. I've been told that simians are much more like the cats, in such things holds much more meaning. But you are no longer on Simia and must understand that things are different here. Even if he wants to, which I believe he does, Amicus can change his philosophy over the course of a single week. I finally find room to speak. You're acting like we're in a relationship or something. You aren't, but you want to be. And Amicus loves you. It's clear as Vita, as they say here. I feel a little thrill in my chest, and my face blushes furiously. Nefera goes on like I didn't actually say that though. So yes, if you don't like the idea of Amicus fucking another man, then claim him as your own man. I frown. Claim? I'm going by Wolven term here. I'm sure you have your own. Did Nefera just ask me to ask Amicus out? Now, does that clear things up for you? Even though I just woke up, I'm already feeling exhausted. I guess but there was a little more to it than that though. Which I am sure can be settled in the future. Civil discussions can do wonders. Now, we must really be getting to the trial. If you want to go. Nefero raises an eyebrow at me. I find myself shaking my head, but not denying the jackal his request. Rather, it's because I don't know what the hell this guy is up to. I get up and Nefero offers his arm to me, which I stare at. Shall I escort you? This is something I've seen the jackal do multiple times with Virginia and Alex. And for some reason, he seems to really just enjoy escorting people around. I guess it feels like some kind of a bodyguard, almost, since the Chemians are the most powerful siblings in the Galaxias. And if the Chemian is escorting someone, they were like, oh, we shouldn't touch that person because he's on the Chemian side and the Chemian is like protecting this person, so to say. Maybe something like that. And the Nefero feels like, oh yeah, look at me. Because I'm the Chemian and I'm escorting this person around. Something like that. After his little lecture, I can tell that he's trying to smooth things over between me and Amicus. So reluctantly, I reach out to take his arms with both hands, if only to please him. And please he seems to be, a tugging at the corner of his muscle, making me think that he's trying to smile too much. As he guides me through the door, I find myself feeling out the fur in his arm. It's much more silky and smooth compared to Amicus, not quite as fluffy. It's not as nice as Amicus' coat, but it does feel nice in a different way. I mean, he's basically a short-haired dog, so it's like petting a Labrador or petting a Husky. It's totally different, but they're all nice in their own way. There's a lot of muscles there too, and I wonder if the jackal works out in the amphitheater, though I've never seen him there. I guess why I can see many people are into this guy, if muscles are your thing. As we continue through the halls, I notice that we're taking a different route than the one to the throne room. Where are we going? To meet the star of the most asinine entertainment show in the galaxy. What better way to determine the fate of things, siblings and parents alike, than through meaningless Wolven spectacle? What? Nefero pauses in front of the door, gently pulling away from me while his paw is held delicately up to the panel. What I'm saying is that quite a bit is depending on your wolf right now, and he might need some encouragement. I'm still staring at the jackal when he finally presses the panel, opening the door. When I look back, I find myself looking into a much smaller room. Simple and bare, just a bed and a dresser. The air is thick with a calming sense of an incense as it creeps into the hallway and washes over me in a warm wave. And there, sitting on the bed, is Amicus. Before I can look back at Nefero, the wolf suddenly looks up. We both stare at each other for a moment, and then the wolf suddenly on his feet, stumbling towards me. He stops himself halfway through the room though, paws clasped in front of himself. I've never seen him so disheveled before. His fur is stuck up all over his neck and shoulders, and his cape is askew. His eyes are red and bleary. Before I know it, I'm walking into the room towards the wolf. Are you okay? Amicus tries to smooth his fur down, but it sticks right back up. I'm fine. I was just meditating. You look awful. Isn't the trial in less than an hour? Yes. There's a moment of silence that goes by as I just stare at the wolf. Are you going then? You should get ready. Bo? I stop, waiting. The pause is long, and when Amicus finally speaks, his voice is so quiet that I can barely hear it. I don't think I was meant for this. My heart sinks. Meant for what? Everything in this damned empire. I've done absolutely nothing right. Everything has been handed to me on a platter my entire life. But the first time that I've actually had to fight for something. I know you don't think I took this seriously, but I did. I tried. I wasn't prepared. And you were right. I see a little wetness around his eyes, but he aggressively wipes them away with an arm. 1 week ago, I might have welcomed this epiphany, but this is the absolute worst moment for it. I couldn't even keep my best friend. I would have been a terrible emperor. It takes me a moment to realize that he's talking about me. Amicus, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I didn't tell you everything, that I treated you poorly, that I got you into this stupid mess in the first place, that I can't get you out of it. The wolf's voice catches on the last part, and I wonder with some astonishment if I'm actually going to see him cry. But he managed to hold it together, looking down at the floor. I just wanted what is best for you, but I wasn't thinking of you while I did it. I was inconsiderate, and I'm sorry. Amicus stands there quietly, apparently finished. I don't know if this is more about me or about him feeling inadequate for the emperorship. I have no doubt that our little fight yesterday caused it though. Seeing the wolf like this, it hurts, but it also makes me kind of angry. This isn't the Amicus I know. I reach up, setting a hand on his shoulder, and he suddenly looks up at me. You are less than an hour away from becoming the emperor. You need to act like it. What? You think your dad would have acted like this when he wasn't sure of himself? Your grandfather? Drusus? There's a time and place, and now is not the time. I don't know if they would have, but I'm grasping at straws at this point. And honestly, this is about a lot more than you, or me, or anyone else here. This is about the lives of 1 million sapiens, about your entire empire. You think it all deserves a good shit because suddenly you're not really sure of yourself? You are such a good person, basically the opposite of what this society is, and you want to put that into your rule, and that's amazing. But now you're suddenly willing to give it up? What the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah, you made a bunch of mistakes, but that doesn't matter now. What matters is that you make sure that a piece of shit brother of yours doesn't take the throne. So you better get your ass out there and beat the hell out of him this stupid debate. I'm not sure what else to say, so I stop, breathing hard. After a moment, I realize that the wolf is smiling at me, and it takes me a moment to calm down from my Hollywood movie pep talk. What? I am going to go out there, Bo. There's no doubt about that. I just was having a moment. I was trying to be more honest with you. But thank you. I frown. Well, you sure picked a hell of a moment to have it. I know. I've just been having a terrible time after yesterday is all. I needed to apologize to you. I deflate a little, but there's a relief too, seeing Amicus somewhat back to his old self. I forgive you, but this is a lot bigger than us right now. I know it is, but what I'm feeling is a lot bigger than us as well. The wolf sets a paw on my shoulder. But I am honest about what I said. I'm sorry, and I will never do anything involving you without your consolation again. And I will take your cultural differences into better consideration in the future. Which I should as well. I look up at Amicus, at his earnest face, and I find myself hugging him, and he hugs Bugs tightly. We still need to talk about things, but we can do that later. You need to kick Cassius' ass first. I know. Amicus pulls back, both paws on my shoulders now. And I will. There's a gentle clearing of a throat behind us, and we both look back to see Neferu casually lounging in the doorway. If you're finished, the trial begins in 30 minutes. Immediately, Amicus scowls at the sight of Jackal, but he nods. I better be going then. So you're feeling better now? Much better, thanks to you. I smile as I feel a wave of relief, even though this is just like Amicus to be so easily cheered up. I allow the wolf to pull me towards the door. Neferu moves out of the way as we exit the stifling meditation room. Alright, I'm on my way to a shower. And I'll be washing. The rhetoric thing, I mean. I'll look for you, and we'll talk after this? Yeah, we'll talk after you're the emperor. Alright. Amicus leans in to kiss me on the lips, then pauses before planting it on my cheek instead. With that, he winks, and then turns and dashes up the hall, running at full sprint. I hear a soft chuckle behind me. Well, that went rather well. Didn't think it would be half as easy. I glance back at the Jackal as he basically reveals that he's been planning this all along. I guess it was obvious. It was obvious. Shall we head to the throne room? They'll be wanting us to sit down so they can easily film us. The whole thing is dreary spectacle after all. Alright. With that, I follow the Jackal towards the throne room, hoping that what I said to Amicus is enough to get him in the right headspace to help him win. In just a few hours, I'll know if I'll be leaving soon, or if I'm staying here a long, long time. Either way, I'm just glad that this happened. Whew, I think this is the longest episode so far, because it's definitely the longest recording by far. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. This has definitely been my favorite episode so far. A lot happened, and I love drama. So, damn, so much happened, but I'm happy they're friends again in the end, and I'm really looking forward to the next episode that hopefully will come out in a week from now. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video as well, leave a like and tell me in the comments what you think. And yeah, damn, I need to get something to eat now, so I love you guys. So take care, and remember that you are loved and appreciated, and that you should be proud of who you are, because I want to see you in the next episode. Bye!